two, one. All right, McKennon Woltman, welcome to the Steep Stuff Podcast. How's it going, man?
It's going awesome, man. Thanks for having me on here, James.
Yeah, I'm excited, dude. I'm excited to have this conversation. You and I have got to interact I wish we would have interacted a heck of a lot more over the summer. Although I spent my summer injured. If you're going back to the Cirque Series next year, we'll spend plenty of time together. But dude, Cirque Series 2025 champion. There's a lot more to the story than just that, and I'm excited to have you on to tell your story and have a conversation.
Sweet. I am like so stoked to just like even talk about it, deep dive, and just I don't know, tell everybody how it went and
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of beforehand, even the thought process going into it.
Before we get started, maybe tell the audience where you just came back from, what you've been up to over the last month or so.
Okay, so my name is McKennon Woltman. I just got done with TRE with CETAs, so got to go and work with them at their booth down in San Antonio, and then this weekend right after that, hopped on a plane, went out to Phoenix, Arizona to go shoot the Mount McDowell Mountain Frenzy for Air Vipa, and then flew back into San Antonio this morning, picked up the van, drove it straight up to San Antonio, or from San Antonio to Dallas, and now I'm at home base where I grew up at, pretty much.
Is home base for you Texas or is it California?
Texas, technically.
It is
That's
technically Texas. Okay, okay.
yeah. So until I was like 18 years old, I was in Texas, and then the moment I got out of the house graduating, I was out the door and working all over the place in construction and stuff. So,
Oh, dude, talk about this. So, did you what's your background in sport? Like, how did you discover running?
okay, so as a kid growing up, my dad did marathons and stuff. Him and his brother and his sister did. So they would always travel since 2005, go out to Big Sur International Marathon in California. My uncle, he's a firefighter out there, and so that was the point spot to go to, and that was like when Big Sur was actually a first come first serve. So they'd always plan ahead, like going, okay, let's jump into this marathon so we could all run it together. So that started in 2005, and then growing up, just kind of being around that and seeing him run and stuff, it was like, okay, at some point I'm gonna pick this up. Ran at like our local like 5K turkey trots and different like October festivals and stuff. And then in high school, I did 2 years of cross country for fun. My friends were in it, and I was like, you know what? We're just gonna go out there, have some fun with it. So my sophomore and junior year did that. Got back out of it. I was like, that was cool, but I'm like, I don't. I'm gonna focus on golf my senior year and see if that can put me into any school opportunity. That never came true. I was not the most focused on my schooling, so it was more like I just love just being outside and doing stuff. Graduated high school. I mean, I ran every once in a while. It was like, every couple of times a week I'd run, but nothing serious. Had 4 or 5 years of traveling around the U.S. working construction from Salt Lake City, Utah, and in Du Bois, Pennsylvania. Amazing grounds for running, like right off the Appalachian on one side, and then on Utah, I was just right there, and like I would say, like a base, a really good trail running base area and road running, but I wasn't really that like well depth into it. I stepped on the scale in 2018, was like 210 pounds.
Holy shit, you're a big dude.
And I'm like, dude, I need to change something here. And at that same time, my grandfather was diagnosed with dementia and was like kind of on the downslope of it really quickly. And then my dad was getting some testing done for life insurance, and they discovered like a rare kidney cancer. And so it was like all this hit me right at one time. And I was like, okay, we got to do something here, like health wise. Like there's a lot of things like not in your favor, and a lot of things that like, in order for you to have like your dad go and see you run a marathon, that's like what I wanted to do. I was like, you got to jump on the ball now. So October of 2018 came around. and that was like 2 months after, or a month after my dad was like diagnosed. I was like, okay, we got to find a marathon. So I had some friends growing up. They all always make a travel out with their dad to Marathon, Texas. And there's a race out there called M to M. And so it's marathon to marathon. And it starts 26.2 miles outside of the town of Marathon and runs all the way in. It's near Big Bend National Park. But it's a small little, like, West Texas race. I mean, less than 500 people show up to it every year. And that's like within the marathon, half marathon, 10K and 5K. So with all of those put together, like it may add up to 500, it may be less. It just kind of hit and miss. From that point on, all the way till May of 2019, I did 5 marathons and 3 ultras. So I was like, we're going to dive straight into the running, figure out this whole thing, and see where I can stick and see what happens. And yeah, and like from that moment on, I was like hooked into the sport. I dropped 60 pounds. And I was like, okay, we're actually able to run fast, not have the weight on the knees, and give myself actually the ability to run the way I want to and the way I could like remember from like high school. Just didn't put as much training when I was in high school that I probably should have, because I'm like look back now and I'm like, man, if I would have just done this like years ago and put some training and put some effort to it, and somebody like would have pointed me in the right direction, they'd be like, oh yeah, you have a great opportunity ahead of you. Just dedicate some time and focus.
Well, actually, that's crazy. Continue. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then so in May of 2019, I kind of at the same time, I was working for my dad's company in construction. And it was one of those things where I was like, okay, everybody here knows what's happening in the family. And it's a family based like construction company. It's a big company, but it's like, I grew up in the realm. From the age, yeah, before I was born, my dad started for the company. So my entire life, that was it. Like everybody was like family. And it got to the point where everybody just kept on asking me questions, how's your dad? How's everything going? Type of thing. And I was just like, there was no space to walk, like step back and to breathe. And also at the same time, move back into the house, be able to help around. So it was like, I was just conglomerated from every space, everywhere of what was happening. So we had a neighbor of ours that used to have a missionary cafe in Germany. And they were like, hey, we have a mutual friend from back in the day that we used to live over in Germany that's over here for sports ministry fundraising. And they were like, we need to connect you with them. Their name's Oliver and Kirsten, and you're running like crazy. They have the sports ministry going on, and we need to connect you. And we know that you kind of want to get out of the construction side. You grew up, like, my past was like, I wanted to become a youth minister at some point, or be somehow connected into something with developing and bringing up young athletes, or not athletes, young people in like a healthy environment in a healthy way. And there, with this sports opportunity, I was like, that's it. Maybe with this running background that I've just kind of slowly developed just now, but also have the ability to connect to young people, maybe there's a route for this. And so got connected with Oliver and Kirsten, was driving across the bridge one night after I met with them. And it was kind of in my head, I was like, okay, do I want to take this opportunity or do I not want to take this opportunity? Like, is this exactly the path that's ahead of me, the one I need to take the steps on? At that moment, I was like, you know what? We're going to find this out now. We're going to call Oliver. It's 9 o'clock at night, but you're driving home from night school and they're like, we're just tired of this stuff. And called Oliver, didn't know if he was going to wake up and like answer it. And luckily it was NBA finals. So he was wide awake watching the games. And he was like, "Hey, what's up? What were you calling about?" And I was like, "I really want to take this opportunity to see if this is where I need to go. Getting into the sports side of ministry, but also having a chance to go internationally and see what opportunities I could have in front." She was like, "Oh, okay. Is this real?" And I'm like, "Yes, this is 100%. Like, this is what I want to do. This is the opportunity that I want to take." And like 2 weeks after that, I booked a plane ticket for August of 2019. Called them up again. Like, we already had some conversation. We already had some like more meetings on this stuff. But I was like, I bought a plane ticket. I'm coming over to do an internship with y'all, and I'm going to be running over there too. And he's like, "Whoa, okay. When is your ticket? When are you landing and stuff?" I was like, "It's going to be in mid-August, and I'll be there for 3 months." And he's like, "Okay, so let's get everything put together, because this is like July at this moment, to do all the planning." So, or really end of June, but going into July. So about a month and a half of planning to dial everything down with the ministry group called SRS. And they work with a lot of different athletes and mentoring and coaching and stuff over in Europe, but also across the world. And getting over there, there was a lot of people that were like, "Hey, we have this big conference going on. There's a guy named Bern Bretmeyer that you're going to need to meet. He used to be an international athlete, used to actually run for the national team of Germany. You're a runner, he's a runner. Y'all just got to sit down and talk." I was like, "Okay, cool. Whoever this guy is, I'm like, it's going to be exciting to meet with him." And that was once I got over to Germany. Had no idea his background, where he was at, what he was doing, his like big, I guess, plans that he was working on. And one of them is actually a training center in Kenya. So I like, in a way, like came in through the sport a whole different, I get a whole different way of approaching it and getting involved. And I mean, doing it, I would say, like differently than most athletes, where they get in, they know where they want to go, like of the competition side, and get involved that way. And I've kind of like jumped in a different platform. Um, so got to sit down with Bern, and he was like, "Hey, I have this training center down in Kenya. It's called Complete Sports Training Center. And we help young athletes develop after they get out of high school for opportunities on scholarship and professional level." At the same time, one of the alumni athletes, Noah Kimbo or Noah, oh, why did I just go blank? Uh, Noah Kipkemboy is I may have to recheck that just to make sure. But it's Noah. He is actually one of the pacers for Eliud Kipchoge's 2 hour breaking for the Ineos challenge at the same time. So it's like we're meeting with Bern, talking with him, and here's this opportunity to like be a part of something like super special and super unique and different. And at the same time, it's like there's athletes coming from this that are on a whole other platform of running than like I ever even thought I would have like dream of experience or seeing or even getting like around. So 2019, I left Germany, had this opportunity to go to Kenya for 2020. Booked the ticket immediately, left in January for Kenya and go work at the training center. With the construction background too, as a part of the puzzle piece for this, they were also wanting to build a new facility, because the old facility was underneath a 10-year contract with a church organization there that was used for their summer seminars. And so we would just like basically make it our home base, except for 2 weeks out of the year. And then all the athletes would go home and then come back afterwards. And they've been doing that since 2011, all the way up to 2000 or 2020. So the next plan was to get a piece of plot of land, start building a training center for them, and go with it from that level into that next, I guess, going to the next extreme of having a training center that also has a hotel for international athletes. So I get over there 2020, and it was more of a let's go get my feet wet in the soil and go see if I can stick, and also see if this is where I want to be and where I need to be too. So was over there for almost 2 months of time, and it just felt like home. Like they were everybody there that was a part of it, athletes, coaches, mentors, everybody was like, "You're more Kenyan than the Kenyans." And they gave me the name Kipchumba Kipchai.
Okay.
So Kipchumba is a born inside, either has two different meanings, either born inside a hospital or born in the presence of a white man. That's how like back
I was gonna make it. Yeah, never mind.
so back in the day, that's how like, but that's how like they would like, that's how you get your names is by whether it was season, what the day was like, where you're at, what was being done, who came in present. So they're like, okay, you're a Mzungu, a white man, you're gonna be having the name Kipchumba, and I was like, okay, we gotta find another name besides just Kipchumba. And we were sitting around the fire one day, and they were like, I just kept on drinking chai tea like crazy. So I was like, what about Kip Chai? Like everybody's called Kip inside the call engine tribe, but like, what about Kip Chai? And they're like, busted out laughing, like thought it was a joke. And I'm like, no, I'm serious. Like, I want to be one who loves tea. Yeah. So that was kind of like got me all the way to, I would say Kenya, and then COVID happened, and so that was like a stop to everything. But like literally figured out this is where I want to be. This is what I want to do. I want to work with young athletes here in Kenya, develop, coach, mentor, and getting to work on a holistic level, because that's like our whole basis at the training center is not just a let's work with you, find management, send you on your way. It's a no, we're going to do the whole body of the athlete. So the mind, the spirit, and the relationships that they have with coaches and mentors slash management, how to mentor them through that process. With the body is how they treat themselves, how they develop themselves as an athlete. The biggest topic in the world right now is the doping, and it's been the doping side for Kenyan athletes and international athletes for a long time. And so our thing is, how do we get athletes out of that realm to be able to have that spotlight? Because that's the hard thing is a lot of them don't have that mentorship or that availability to have somebody above them going, hey, there's other ways to be able to be a top level athlete, and you don't have to do these crazy extremes to do it. It's to get away from either doping or getting away from some type of cheating into it. So that's like one of our big things is talking to the athletes, working with them, because they're young. I mean, they're 18, 19, 20 years old. So they're going to do anything they can to be able to be like the Elliot or be like the Faith and stuff of the sport and track and a marathon. So to try to push them away from that. And then on the spiritual side, spirituality is a huge thing in Kenyan culture. It's a huge thing in East African culture. And that's like our big thing that we want to like also help with is that even when you're going into the sport, that you don't lose your traditions, your background, your identity from where you are, and you don't lose that. And that you don't walk away from it and going, oh yeah, I was raised this way, but it got me to this point, and now I'm just going to take the money from whatever management, and that's who I'm going to worship next, or that's who I'm going to go with. It's like, no, that's not that helps sustain you in life, but that's not life. That's not what's going to take you to your next step. And then there's going to be also, helping them how to approach management and how to be interacted with them. Because there's a lot of people who look at it as I can go there, almost throw out money. I can have a lot of runners
Yeah.
and race for me, and they're going to get treated in a very poor condition way because it's cheap conditions over there, cheap living conditions. So they'll just toss them a couple $100 and basically go, "Hey, this is your money for the year, but I want you to perform at this top level, and then once you win, I'm taking 80% of the pay cut."
It's a
Because I
really sorry. I was just gonna say that is. I'm glad you brought that up because I mean I wasn't planning on going here in this conversation, but I think the Kenya topic is an interesting one, man. And the fact that you've been over there and spent time with these athletes and understand the economic situation, I think it's really important that you continue to like kind of paint that picture and talk about this to the audience because, like for instance, like Golden Trail and things like that. Yes, we've had doping violations. I, for one, 100% have no respect for when it comes to doping, obviously, but at the same time, I think people fail to understand the level of abject poverty these folks come from, and that doping on their end it's just a very nuanced argument.
yeah, and it's kind of crazy because like you can literally walk into a doctor's or not really doctor, but like a vitamin shop or somewhere that you get your medicine from. You can walk in there off the streets and get whatever you need. Or you can have some certain people, in the background that will get you this stuff. So it's kind of crazy on the athletic side that it's that easy, that it's that like so accessible, which is a sad thing too, because it's like, okay, these are young athletes. You're in a area between Iten, Kaptegat, where we're based at, and Eldoret. There's probably 8,000 athletes.
Wow.
Honestly, I mean, Iten is I would say probably has the biggest number of top level athletes. Most people, you're never going to see them. You're going to probably only see 1% of what's out there, but they're almost on the same level. It's just who's gotten the right connection at the right time, right spotlight, all that stuff. So seeing Kenya and getting to be involved in that side of the athletics and training over there was like absolutely incredible and something that has stuck with me forever. The funny thing is, I've also trained over there for a number of years now, working at the center and coming over here to the States, not racing. So having all the training level, the right coaching, and just everything that an ideal athlete would ask for on the international level of getting to go train in Kenya and then coming back just to compete at a race, but not taking that chance. And so from 2020 to 2023, I was off and on in Kenya and then also in Germany. I took so in 2021, that was my third trip over to Kenya. And kind of at the same time, I haven't raced since 2019 really on a marathon level. I haven't tried to go back into it. I've just been working on the mentoring, on the coaching side of Kenya, and that's where my head was kind of focused on. So I kind of like stepped away from the racing aspect, and because I never really thought, I was like, okay, maybe I could perform at good levels, but I'm like, I don't know if I like see that as the eye candy for me. And I don't know which area that's going to be. Is it going to be in trail? Or is it going to be on road? Is it going to be track or whatever? So it was like a lot of like, I don't want to jump into it necessarily. I'd rather be helping people. So in 2021, kind of jump a little bit forward. I was over there for another 2 months period of time. And at the same time, I had already my long-term visa approved for Kenya to be able to move over there, train, coach, everything. At the same time, I got a phone call from my family saying, "Hey, you better get home soon. Your dad's like on last line right now."
Oh,
And So it was a crazy moment because he also told me, he was like, before I left, and few people know this, but before I left, he was like, whatever happens on this next trip, because I've been going back and forth, and now that I've gotten the visa approved, he was like, whatever happens, don't come back home. Stick with what you're doing, coaching and the mentoring. Like that's a huge side of it for you, and that scared me because I was like, there's no way. Like, how could I do that? You know, like not come back home for everything that if something was to go worst case scenario type of thing. And when worst case scenario came up, literally hopped on a plane and I was like, that's where I gotta be. I gotta be home with family. Not sure for how long, but I at least need to get back to the States. And during that same time, or after that all happened, went down, it was like 5 days we were together as a family, and it was just incredible. We had family friends from all over the US come over and stay with us and just be able to be together. And after that all kind of went down, I was just like, do I go back to Kenya now or do I go figure out what's next? I decided to take a little break of time, move to Colorado, actually where I was born. I was born in Denver, but grew up, or like first 6 months of my life was Denver or Evergreen, Colorado. And I call Evergreen as like it's home to me too, because that's where my aunt and uncle live, and that's where we'd always go do vacations and trips to. So went up there, started running on Elk Meadows Trail, which is the little park right across the street from where my aunt and uncle live, and would train out there on the trail. And I was like, man, I kind of like this. This is kind of fun. At the same time, had Strava, started looking up who was running out there on the Strava map, and I was like, man, who are these guys? David Roche and stuff. And I'm like, these are, I mean, I know there's some big names, but I'm like, to me, I didn't know much about them and stuff. So I started looking them up, and I'm like, oh, there's this whole like trail running thing. Like, it's a legit deal. And there's like legit athletes, and looking into it, I was like, man, I gotta check this out. I didn't know if I was going to jump into it fully then or not. And I just trained on it. I didn't jump into it, didn't race at the time. And 2021, still coming through, got done with my like time off from Kenya and everything else I was doing. And the end of 2021 came around, and I was like, okay, we're going to go back to Kenya. We got to have a little break of time to kind of just debrief, and got to raise a lot of shoes that I would take over to Kenya, and a lot of shoes I asked for actually, because I started realizing was like trail running shoes. Because we have a lot of dirt roads and red dirt roads and stuff, and it gets muddy and stuff, so it's like really hard to run on road shoes. I was like, so my big thing was like, let's go ask for a lot of trail shoes. So I started getting involved with some trail running groups and communities and stuff through that. Went back over. 2021 swung around. 2022 came around, still over there. And in the summer of 2022, we had a group come over, and they were doing a documentary over one of our athletes. And they were really cool. I was also in the video stuff and the photography, but I was just like basic level in my, like what I thought. And I just played around with the camera, played around with the drone out there in Kenya and stuff. And we had a documentary crew come over, and they didn't have a drone. And so I flew that for them. Afterwards, we got to talk, and they were like, hey, you're really good at this stuff with your photography and with your video stuff. Would you want to move to Germany? I was like, huh, yeah, that'd be pretty cool. It was kind of a hard decision because I was like, should I be here fully in Kenya? And I'm like, it was a lot of tough decisions, but it was also, how do I be able to get more people to know about what we're trying to do here? Because, I mean, social media can get you so far, but actually having true personal connection is another thing. And I feel like that's actually real and honest of where it can go. And moved over to Germany, got over there, started trying to work doing as a freelance sound engineer for a guy who works with the news station. that kind of fell through, but at the same time, I got involved with the Adidas Runners Munich
Oh wow.
team and fully just ingrained with that community. And I was over there for 6 months of time and just dove straight in. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I don't have a job right now, and I'm just gonna risk it. And we're just gonna. I love this running with the Adidas Runners group, and let's see what kind of happens here. Let's continue kind of just developing as an athlete on a different level. They really showed me trail running and got to really take a deep dive into the trail running space because like every Wednesday night we'd meet as a team or as a group, and we go do run trails, and then on the weekends there'd be a big group of us that would go and hit trails up in the Alps, and then like every day at the same time, every day there, I would almost hop on the train and go run in the Alps. I was like, what's the perfect time while I'm over here?
It's pretty legit.
I'm gonna while this like work thing I'm trying to figure out is paperwork and all that type of stuff is going through. I was I was kind of also let's take advantage of where we're at. So I was just running the Alps, and I would ride a train down, get off, run up and over a mountain, and then hop on the next train to go back to Munich. So like I would do this like every other day or so, uh, and figure out kind of is this where I want to do and play. And I would also take the camera out with me and just play around and up in the mountains. Um, and then they would talk a lot about infinite trails, which is the big Terex trail event at the end of the season. So the community event where all the different Adidas runners communities kind of come together from the trail side and put on this big race and event. And I ran at it, and they were like, "Hey, we probably think that you could probably do really good at this, and we're gonna put you on a team of three of us." Or they're gonna be a group of y'all on a team, so you're gonna take the marathon section. So it's like 20. It was actually like it was 47 kilometers, so it's a little bit more than a marathon. And I was like, yeah, let's go play, let's go have fun, and do this as a team. I absolutely sucked. Like I was good, but like it was like the day was not my day. It was just like I put on a lot of mileage a couple weeks or like that week before and going into it, playing up in the mountains. And so I did not give myself like any break. Um, but I got to realize like what trail running was and got to experience it for like a couple months and to see like, oh, this is eye opening. This is incredible. The space is huge, and the opportunity here is insane. Like the spotlight, and the travel of it, like the uniqueness of trail running compared to the road running side. Because like in road running, when you look at the marathon and everything, it's only 2 races a year.
Yeah.
Unless you're like going in the 100-mile realm, yeah, it's maybe 2 races a year type of thing. But like for road running, I always thought, okay, 1 to 2 races a year, that's it. Trail runners, like it's every other like week, it seems like. So getting to see that and experience that, I was like, oh man, there's so much more opportunity with this, and to like get out there and experience it. I still didn't jump all the way in for the racing side as competitive, but I at least got some experience, and I got to do a deep dive and to understand it and build some awesome, incredible relationships that like I hold dearly. And seeing where everybody else is at, in the trail space over there, some of them are just rocking right now, and they're doing really good. But it was kind of cool to be together 3 years ago and all of us trying to figure out, where are we going to go in this. Um, then, so 2022 came back to the States, and then I was like, you know what, we're going to go back to Kenya. I was like, I was
Hold on one
going for,
second. I don't want to interrupt you, but I do
yeah,
want. Can you
no,
paint the picture? Because it's just very
yeah.
interesting. It's interesting to me, and I think the audience in general. What is it like living in Kenya, dude? And especially for as long as you did. Like I mean, I think in America, most of us grew up with a lot of privileges like running
Yeah.
water, electricity, all the we got McDonald's down the street, In-N-Out Burger. We've got the good stuff. Like, what is it like growing? What is it like living there? And all of those amenities, or a lot of them, you don't have. It's a completely different lifestyle. I would imagine.
Yeah, from like because from 2020 to 2023, I spent over a year and a half time of living in Kenya. Um, and like so, our first facility, literally the house that I stayed in was just a cinder block house, not even a house really, but it was just a cinder block like an old campground cinder block little like building. Where on one side you had a little tiny bathroom that had a shower and stuff. That the water was actually pumped up from the river into a water tank. So it wasn't safe to drink at all. You could just bathe in it, but you couldn't drink. One time, like the normal wash out the mouth type of thing. I was like standing there washing it out, and I'm like, crap, I'm gonna get sick.
Did you get
Had
sick?
like giardia for like a week after that. Just completely just bed rested. Thought like my life was done. I was just gonna die here, type of thing. And but like, yeah, having the living conditions on our first facility was kind of the extreme. I would say like most of our buildings were tin roof, 10 building. One of them was actually a solid concrete structure that was the guys' housing, and then the girls' housing was a wood timber like structure. So it was a house technically in a way, but it wasn't like anything luxury, like not luxury at all, because it was like 20 girls piled into like three little spaces, and it was one of those things we were growing at such a massive rate because from 2011 to 2016 we only had 16 athletes that we've dealt with. After that, scholarship side open. But living there and getting to see the actual environment of what we were living in, and like most people, they'd be like, "What are you doing? Like this is like probably not safe, not sanitary, that type of thing." And like going, "This is like the extreme of like living condition." And yeah, you'd to go to town, we'd catch the matatu. So it's a van. And it's like a multi-passenger van they would just like taxis be driving down the highway or down the road, and you just basically be standing off the side of the road to catch one to go to town, and you'd have to go back in, or to get out of town, you'd have to go to the matatu stage area to catch one back out. So it wasn't like, oh, we're gonna just hop in the car every day and go to town get stuff. Um, Town was kind of interesting because if you went in, that's where you get all your groceries, and you made sure to get all your stuff there. All your food and things like that for like fruits and stuff, you get it locally. So it'd be like local street vendors and everything like near this training center that where we get most of our stuff. But like the luxuries, you wipe that out. Like everything that you understand here, like in the U.S. and like that I grew up with, that was just no. Like there are fast food and there are things like that, restaurants and stuff in the town of Eldoret, but outside of that, there's not much of anything. But that'd be a 45, 30-minute drive, depending on how fast the Matatu was going, how many people that are picking up, how many people that are dropping off. So it wasn't just no air conditioning. So if the windows were open, like it felt decent. But if not, like everybody's sweating in there and it would smell pretty bad. And you're like crammed in 20 something people inside like a 12-person van.
Oh no! Oh man!
So like you're like literally, they would like they take wooden planks to put in between the seats, like where the walk area is, to make another extra seat or two. So it was just like adding as many people to inside that they could. The other funny thing was like, yeah, like our cooking and stuff, like we would, every day was the same meals. So local things that we could get our accessibility to was rice, maize, which is corn, but we'd make, or it'd be maize flour, so corn flour, potatoes, beans. Twice a week we would have meat, so that would be either some type of goat or cow beef, and then sometimes chicken cuckoo. That's what it's called there. And so like those were like the main things, and then like vegetables and stuff called like there's a green vegetable called skumawiki, and everything was just like incredible. And then with the maize flour, every meal at night we would have this thing called ugali, and it's basically maize flour dumped into a huge boiling pot of water. But you'd rise it up with the water temperatures. It wasn't boiling yet, but you'd rise it up, and it would just come like thick, almost like mashed potatoes, but like even thicker. So like basically you could like cut an actual like square of it and eat it with like your hand in a way. So it wasn't like it was like soft, like a not bread, but not mashed potatoes, but like an in between where it was like soft and moist like the mashed potato, but like solid like bread almost,
Yeah.
but just not dried out. So we'd have the same meals every day. So at night it would be cabbage and ugali. For lunch it'd be rice and beans with corn in it, and then when season would roll around, there'd be potatoes. So you always work on the seasons there too. So when the potato season would come around, everything would switch over to potato for the lunches and stuff. And then in the morning, we would have sliced of bread and chai tea. And chai tea is literally black tea and milk and tons of cane sugar.
I was going to ask you about sugar. Okay. So that's where the sugar's
Yeah.
coming from. That's where we get
Yep.
the glucose. Okay,
Yep.
interesting.
So cane sugar is like the source. I would say. Yeah. So like that was like every day having the same meals, which is very, here like growing up in the house and everything, at home, it was every night of the week we'd have a different meal. And then one night a week we'd have this thing called root little hog or die. So it's basically all the leftovers inside the fridge, and that's what you'd make. But then going to Kenya, it's same meal all the time. But it kind of showed me something of consistency, of having the same foods and consistency of that for the training purposes is phenomenal. Because one, like exactly what you're getting in. Your body's not going through all these weird transitions of changes, so it's constant. Like you're just on the same level the entire time. So for training purposes, like you can always still be consistent. There's not always like you're not waking up every day and you're like, oh, I don't feel good because I ate a whole thing of wings last night, or I had a hamburger, or whatever, type of thing. You're always consistent in your diet, so your diet was the same. And for training wise, it made it really easy because you didn't have to think about what you're going to eat. You just whatever was going to be served, that's what it was, and it was always very consistent. And it was also very local too. Um, One of the founders, Japhet Kimutai, so there's some really unique people that are involved in Kenya and with our training centers and stuff. But Japhet, 1998 World Athletics 800 meter champion, and he has an incredible farm. So a lot of the stuff that we get would come from his farm. So it was local food, local produce, local product, and everything was really natural, which is a huge thing. Because when I came back home and tried to eat a banana, it did not taste like a banana. It did not taste right. An avocado, there's like ice cream, I would say. Like it's so just sweet and just soft, like butter, and just incredible. But the flavor just pops. Which I would say, like on that side, I felt more luxurious in food being there
Interesting.
because it was so natural. It was so real. It was like you tasted it, and like what you thought of is exactly how it would taste. And you didn't have to add anything extra. You didn't have to go and add crazy sauces and stuff, and you didn't have to over season something to make the flavor pop out. It was tender. It was good.
Well, I
How it
mean, and this isn't too much of a hot take, but like
Yeah,
in
I
America,
know.
in America, more or less, our food's generally poisoned. But
Yeah,
uh, yeah, but at the same time, like, I mean, dude, you eat beef abroad or any type of red meat, and you're like, whoa. Or even like a grass-fed ground beef when you have like a real, like something that's grass-fed,
straight from the
grass-finished,
farm.
and you compare that to something you get at like Safeway, you're like, this is how's this the same animal? What are we doing here? Yeah,
Like, what am I paying for here?
it's crazy. It's absolutely
Yeah.
crazy. Yeah.
And so like there's like different things of that where it's like the luxuries of certain things here are really nice, like convenience of getting around. And I would say like over there that for there's not many races. I mean, there's a lot of races, but it's in the track side of things. So to get into or to go to one of those races, you had to pile up in a van and go together as a team and stuff. But it would just be like we'd be completely piled in at distance of what would take like 100 kilometers, what would take probably like an hour and a half here. There it would take like 4 or 5 hours, sometimes even longer, depending on how far and what was on the route of the drive. So like having that to go to races or go to events and for the athletes to be in the car rides for extended for a long period of time and then still having to compete at a crazy level is insane. But having some of the luxuries of like consistency of food and all these other things was a huge, I think it's a benefit. And I feel like there's even athletes here who've realized that,
Yeah.
who've realized consistency is a huge thing. Consistency in your work and play, like what you do on your days off and what you're doing in your training sometimes. Like having the consistency in your training is a big thing of what days you're going to do stuff. The other crazy thing of like, I would say that was really kind of scary was like, yeah, if I got sick over there, the idea of going to a hospital for me was like, no. I was nervous at all. Like I was like, no, I'm not going stepping foot in a hospital because like they got even crazier things out there that somebody could carry in to a hospital, and I could just catch by just being there. So I'm like, no, let's be smart. Like if I get sick, I have medicine with me from here, from the States that I brought over. And then if I need anything different, I can have somebody go up to a pharmacy and get something relatively the same. Or they'll make some type of crazy drink for me to drink. And that's what happened a couple times. They would make some like random, like local, they get like local honey and like some other stuff, but like make these like crazy drinks and concoctions. And they'd be like, just drink it. And I'm like, okay, that's what I'll do.
And does it work?
Yeah, it worked. I mean, I was better. It took a while for me to get back to training when that would happen. So I was like, don't drink the water here. Be smart. Drink bottled water. Like that's the goal. If you could drink sodas and stuff, but like bottled waters and things, which I would only drink sodas when I was there. I never drank a soda really here in the States, but in Kenya I was like, I allow it because it's made with cane sugar.
That's true. No high fructose corn syrup. That's not bad.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Interesting.
Uh, yeah, and yeah, and getting to see, kind of experience that, and I mean, it's hard to tell people like unless you take them over to experience what it's really like. I mean, I can tell everything of what the living conditions are and how it is to live there and to be involved and stuff, but until like you actually get to see it, I mean, I feel like people would be jealous here because our temperature is 50 degrees in the morning, 70 degrees in the afternoon. It stays consistent because you're on the equator. So you have 12 hours of, like, it'd be 11 and a half hours of sun, or yes, of sun, and then, or 11 and a half hours of darkness, and then 12 and a half hours of sunlight. So it's like the perfect ratio, I feel like, where every day the sun would always say this, like, set the same time. Your sleep schedule was amazing. You go to bed I go to bed at like 7 o'clock at night after we eat dinner. 8 o'clock sometimes too. If I was hanging out, we'd play like cards and stuff. And yeah, and so it was like getting to bed early for training the next day at like 5:45. Be at the gate. 6 o'clock we take off as a team of 40 to 70 athletes. It's pretty unique and
That's the
pretty cool.
life, dude.
Yeah,
I'm going, man.
yeah, dude. I mean, I'm trying to put together actually right now, because we have the hotel. We can host up to 20 or 32 international athletes, along with our 72 athletes that can be Kenyan based or East African. Um, So like my goal is to be able to bring people over to actually experience it and see it and like live it. Whether that's for, I say you need to be there more than a week. I think 10 days is like optimal. I think that's like the right amount to experience everything, not have like the full jet lag and turnaround, but to really take everything in. But like we have guys who are coming over on the international side from Germany and from Belgium and stuff who are training over there, and they're over there for at least 3 weeks, if not several months. And we just hosted several athletes on the Indonesian team, national team. A couple of the guys from the German national team are getting involved, Belgium. So it's kind of cool, like a lot of international side, but it's like, okay, now we need some Americans, some U.S. athletes. And I would say trail running would be great there too, because that's single track. I mean, you think about it, all these little villages that were around, they're all getting around through single track and forest roads. So like most of the training that's being done that we're running on is on single track or forest roads. So you can just dip off into the Kaptegat forest, which is a massive forest space, eucalyptus, massive eucalyptus trees and evergreens and cypress and stuff. Smells amazing. And
Is
just
there lions? Like, what's the animal situation like? We got any
so
desert lions and
no, there's not lions where we're at. So you got to go down into the valley into like the Masai Mara,
okay.
which is a couple hours away.
All right, so we're a little bit
But
further
that's
away from lions. Okay.
yeah, that's closer to Tanzania and stuff. But where we're at, like the main animals that you're gonna see are these are monkeys. So you have colobus monkeys. They're like a white face or have a black face but white like around the head, and they have this huge white tail. But they're up in the trees, and there's a couple other styles, and then there's I've been told there's a lot of crazy snakes where we're at. I haven't seen any.
Hey,
Uh,
cobras, dude, that'd be dope.
that's yeah. What somebody was like, oh yeah, we killed like a cobra like last week, and I'm like, going, what? And they're like, no, they just don't come out of the forest. They don't come near people because like they like their space. And I'm like, I don't
What's
know.
the spider situation like? I think this is the common delimiter on whether or not I'll go. Is there like
So
I'm not doing spiders, dude.
no, it's crazy. So where we're at, since we're at 8,000 feet elevation, and with the temperature range, most bugs don't aren't around. So like you don't deal with a lot of bugs. You don't deal with a lot of the wildlife that you see that's down in the valley below the rift and everything. And so that's kind of away from you. Yeah, I thought there'd be bugs or mosquitoes and stuff show up. No, we had
This man is malaria free. There we go.
yeah, it's like yeah, you got to go. I mean, there's different places, but like when you're at the high altitude, which actually most people don't realize this, most of Kenya is at high altitude. Nairobi's at almost 6,000 feet of elevation. Eldoret is at 7.6, I believe, or five, or no, 6.5, and then it goes up to where we're at in Kaptegat is at 8,000, and then right where the rift is at, and where Iten, it's closer to 9,000 feet of elevation. So you have cool temperatures where it's like in the 40s and 50s at nights, and then during the day it's 60s to 70s, and it's like being in the bay in a
Ooh, fancy.
um
All right, all right.
yeah
I'm sold, dude. You don't have to.
yeah
I think I'm in. This is pretty cool. I'm interested.
yeah yeah no gotta get you over there, man.
Yeah, yeah. Dude,
It'll,
I gotta ask you this: how did it change? How like it had to have left a lasting impact on who you are as a person now. Like, how has it changed you in that way?
so kind of something funny. So let's see, I want to say it was before, yeah, right after my dad was diagnosed. I had this idea that popped in my head of starting a running brand thing. I didn't know where it was going to go with, but it was called Tilio Running. And I had this cousin growing up his nickname was Papa Tilio. He died in a freak accident when I was in high school, but he was like the mentor and the person I looked up to. And but there was something about him that was everywhere he went and everybody he was around, he was always the same person. He never was like a different person in settings. And I always kind of took that as always be you and always be who you are. Own up to that, own who you are and don't step away from that. And your path and your walk that you've gone down, no matter where it's gone, whether it's faith-based or not, be real with that and be consistent with that. So that was like kind of a start of it. And then going to Kenya and being actually be involved and getting to see, I got to stay at a friend's house who lived in a mud hut. But he was a top level athlete. He actually went on and actually performed at the Junior Olympics in Colombia in 2018 and he won gold in the 800s. And it's like, but like he was from the Maasai tribe, but they grew up in in an actual mud hut. And you're just like, like a lot of people, they think if they're born in a certain situation, they never have a chance or they never have an opportunity. And here's somebody who had, where everybody else would be like, no, there's no opportunity from that. And here he is, he's making a chance, giving it, like, getting an opportunity at everything. And I'm just like sitting there going, the impact that I'm like having on him and then on all these athletes and getting to be around them and connecting and just being a friendly person and being true to them, it impacted me, I think, more than it impacted them. Even though they're all like, every time that I see one of my friends here in the US on the scholarship and racing at a university, and they're just like, McKennan or Fred, because that's my middle name is Fred, and they're like, or Kipchumba or Kipchai, they'd call me different names. But they would just be like,
Kipchai for now.
dude, yes, please. That is it. But they would always be like, man, you were there, like you trusted in me or you believed in me, and you got to see the beginning of this. And for me, I was like, I got to see somebody who probably would never have thought they would have a chance. Was first generation scholarship opportunity, first person ever to leave the country, and their family and and everything. And so it's like, that's a huge thing to take away and to realize the impact of just believing in somebody and being there just to help. It goes way beyond than what I am. And that's one of those things where running, it showed me that running was not a me sport. It's about everyone that's around it and everybody that's involved. And that's honestly, it struck a chord in me that's stronger than anything. And even though I haven't got to go over to Kenya this year, and it was kind of sad, but I'm trying to plan for something a little bigger to actually have a bigger impact of it, of bringing people over, engaging. And that was, and that's kind of what I want. I want people to see that and have that opportunity. Because everybody that has gotten to go over there and visit with us from the European side, they're just like, it's family, it's home. And a lot of times, like, people there, they're like, oh, this is your second home. And it is, like, it is truly that way. And just how everybody interacts with each other. And kind of something that speaks to a lot of volume is like this year, Kenya was actually named the most friendliest country in the world. And it was kind of cool. It was like, this is real. Like, it's not just me experiencing it in a unique environment and it's only in one spot. It's no, the whole country is like incredible. There's a lot of other different things when you get up close to the borders and stuff of Somalia and stuff that are a little more dangerous. But as a whole, it is a group of people that is down to earth and show you that no matter what living conditions they're in, no matter anything, what's facing in front of them, what barriers there, opportunity and being optimistic in life is a huge thing. and that they're going to go and try to seize the day and take advantage of it. And they're also going to have a smile no matter what's going on in their life. It's just
I love that.
that's one of the things where I'm like, having a smile and no matter what's going on, that's you. Yeah, life is going to be tough and life is going to be hard, but you got to realize it's going to get better. And there's going to be other things, and you got to look for those positivities. You can't be negative about it. You got to be optimistic, I think.
I love that.
Yeah.
All right, let's shift gears off that because I think
Yeah,
that's a good point to go. We got to go because we're already an hour in.
I know.
Let's go to Cirque Series, dude.
Okay,
I could do this for 3 hours, but I gotta.
I I could, man. It's like one of those things like that. There's just so much that's happened. So okay, I'll start off how Cirque Series kind of started.
Yes, let's do that.
So 2000, so last year, 2024, I was running around with the San Francisco running company with my camera and running around out there on the trails. And there's this guy named John. His nickname is Hairdresser John, as some people know him as. And he was like, dude, you're freaking fast. You're running with the top people. And then you're dropping back with your camera gear and taking photos and then catching up to that front group and just zigzagging as we're running this 17-mile like course with the San Francisco Running Company on their Saturday morning runs. He's like, "Why are you not racing?" And I was like, I just never thought about racing. I have this one race I always go for, which is Big Sur International Marathon. That's kind of it, just a road marathon. But I've never put myself out there on the trail side too much besides what happened in Germany and before that. And he was like, "You need to go get a coach and you need to get into the sport." So I'm like, okay, cool. Let me go, he's like, let me go bop around, see who I can find to be my coach. And he's like, your buddy Leo, who was at the time was one of the managers at San Francisco or at SFRC, was wanting to start his own coaching and stuff. And he's like, go bug Leo and become his first athlete and stuff for it. And so I was bugging Leo and kind of was like, okay, can you know, can we make something happen and try to start coaching me? Because I have no idea where I'm going with this and what I'm doing. I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't know anything really about the training on the trail side. Like I could do it on the road section stuff, but trail is different. And I also have no idea where I'm going to put myself out there. So we built a 3-month training plan with races all involved from July of last year till October. So it started off with Speed Goat and ended off with Kodiak 21K. And we also had in there the U.S. National Champs 50K and a couple other two Golden Trail races, so Mammoth and Headlands. And then we also threw in the or the Dragon's Back Ascent. So it was like a whole range of races, short period of time, see where you stick and stand. So I go to Snowbird, go race Speed Goat, find out about Cirque Series. And I was like, there was this race a week ago here. What was it? What was going on? It's a 9-mile race. It goes straight up to the top, drops back down. And I was like, I want to know what that is. But I was like, let me finish my season here. I'm not going to go research it or anything. I'm not going to do anything on that. I'm just going to go hop in to what I'm already have established and figure out what I need to do and where I'm going to go. Got all the way to Kodiak. Got second place in the 21K. The whole buildup was like, go run these other races, figure out each time a new thing, whether it's nutrition, hydration, a certain type of brand of nutrition that you want to try, the shoes, if you want to get out poles, test them out. Like these are all the things just learning till Kodiak came up. After Kodiak came, I sat down, me and Leo did, and we were like, okay, you had a good season, a lot of learning, you did really well towards the end. A lot of good build-ups, did really well in kind of showcasing who you were, getting connected with a couple different brands, but nothing crazy, but just getting yourself out there, getting your feet wet. And we put together a plan of like, okay, what's going to be 2025? I was like, I heard this thing, Cirque Series, after snow at when I was at Speed Goat. Had no idea what it was, but it looks pretty unique. And he's like, "What is it?" And I'm like, at the time they had 6 races. They didn't drop in the 2 East Coast races. And I was like, 6 races. It's all on the west side. I'm like, so it'll be easy to get around. To go in between each race, like 2.5 months a period of time on the circuit, go play around on it. Then they dropped in at the beginning of the year the East Coast side, and I was like, oh crap! They added 2 other races completely on the other side of the country to travel out to, and at the same time, they also the week before they had U.S. track and field or the U.S. Mountain Champions. Yeah, Sunapee. And so I was like, oh, you know what? Let's actually build out a van, go race the whole season, and see if I can win this thing. I was like, I mean, it was just like one of the seasons. Like, I highly doubt anybody's ever raced the whole thing.
No,
And I,
I think you're the first. No, Garrett Corcoran has, but you're the first non. I mean, I don't know. As far as like non like like Christian Allen, right, has won in previous years.
yeah,
You're the first guy to like go do that and win. I don't know if you know that. If anyone's told you that.
it's crazy. Like
Yeah.
it was, and so like the whole thing was like, I don't know anybody who else has done this like all the way through. I just kind of like did a little bit of back history research, but I didn't like go deep dive and stuff. Um, but on the non-pro, like go into the pro section, but be a non-pro like at the beginning, and just be like, we're just gonna go figure out things on the way. And if I run all 8 races, and if nobody else does it, that gives me a better shot and a better opportunity. On the other side of it, we were like, you know, it's kind of crazy that nobody or that there's not a group of athletes that have thrown themselves out there on this circuit because you have Golden Trail Series, which I would say is that next step above
Yep.
Cirque Series
Yep.
of distance and of traveling. And so it's like, it's basically taking the Golden Trail Series, drop it down a step, but do everything the exact same. Every other week, you're racing, you got to know how to recover, you have to be on your A game, you have to travel, all these other logistics have to be in there, and you still got to race. I was like, let's go see if I can throw myself up there on the wall like a spaghetti and see if I stick. Um, and that's what we kind of did. It was like learn as we go and figure out what shoes we want to race in and stuff. And so most of the races I ran in the Solomon Pulsar 3s. They changed that whole other shoe to the 4s different. I was like, no, I don't want to run the 4s. The lug depth is different, the style of the shoe, the sock like. I don't know. I found this shoe before last year and it worked for me. Let's take it into this whole series. And if there's other courses I want to try out other shoes, we can try out other shoes. But that's like the shoe I knew and felt comfortable in. But like hopping onto it, that's a crazy thing. I mean, Julian and Steven have put together something that's just out there.
Oh yeah.
And
It's the best thing in the country, dude. I love it for so many reasons. I love how it's removed from. It's like obviously like short trail, but it's something just different, man. I don't know. It's hard to explain. I talk about this. I feel like I'm a broken record. People that listen to this podcast, I feel like everyone's like, oh man, you know, like I've had so many people reach out to me, like I have tried the Cirque Series because you've talked about it on the podcast so much because I never shut up about it. But I just that's the style and circuit that I choose to race on. I find it the most interesting and intriguing courses. I love the Mountain Classic. There's other things like I think the Rut is really amazing. I think Broken Arrow is really amazing. I think those are two like solid, worthwhile like racing series in the country and get super competitive. But I think outside of that, in the United States, I think the Cirque Series is the best game in town, and it's so competitive and hard. Like it's you, and it's in different characters that are at different races, so you're never generally racing the same group of guys and gals twice. Like, yeah, you've got your mainstays, but at the same time, like, you know, you'll show up to a race and Joe DeMore will be there, or you know, someone new, Jackson Cole. Like, it's just a good assortment of humans. So
yeah, like the first race, it was kind of funny because
and
at
Dan
Sunapee,
Kurtz, yeah, you got to race
I
Dan
met
and
Dan
Remy,
Kurt.
yeah.
And Dan was like, we got to talk a little bit and ran the first race. And afterwards, he came up to me and to me, I didn't really know of who he was before. And then once we started actually having a conversation, I actually like saw who he was. And I'm like, going, this guy's legit in this realm. I mean, like, he is one of the top guys in the world at this style of racing. And also, like, on the technical side, he's like extreme. I think there's few that come close to him on this like crazy descender who can just throw down wicked times.
Dude, he's probably the best. I mean, I know Dan, but like, and I hate blowing smoke up his ass, but like, probably
Yeah,
the most talented, one of the most talented athletes to come into our sport in the last decade, hands down.
yeah.
Iowa State, like, dude is so good. But yeah, he's in technical terrain. It's just, yeah, it's crazy.
So it was kind of funny, like that first race running at Cannon. I I took off and me and Remy right next to each other, and I was like, you know what? None of these guys know who I am. Let me just go and just see what I can do. So I started taking off, and they caught me before like we started the second ascent, really going up the actual climb, which was 2 miles and 2,000 feet of vert. And it was like crazy technical and rocks and just big boulders and stuff and roots and wicked terrain. And I thought like, oh, the ski slope will just be easy. No, the real part is when the real pros come out and show what they got. And after the race, Dan came up to me and he was like, dude, you took off way too fast. He goes like, that was way too quick. Like you should have been like a little bit behind, and kind of watched how things were gonna go. And you probably would have actually saved yourself and would it give you probably a better opportunity to get on podium at the first race by just taking it easy and playing smart? And instead, I had so much energy in me, and I was just like,
Oh, I
I'm
was
gonna
going to
go
ask
out.
you about that. You race very aggressively. I mean, I've been on a start line now twice with you, and I think like I felt like you go out very hard. I'm like, damn, this dude runs Euro style, dude. That's what I gotta say. You run
It's
like a
like,
Euro.
well, like to me, it's like I big fan of Prefontaine, and his whole mantra thing was if I don't do the best I can, I don't want to. It's like if I don't go out there and push as hard as I can and give everything I got, why do I deserve? So it's like I want to do that, and I just got to learn. I got to have other things in my cards too. You got to play smart. You got to know when those times and when those chances that you're going to take to give you that opportunity. Don't just go at the hot of the gun and take off because 9 times out of 10 that's not going to work out unless you're already at that level and know that you can compete at a very high intensity at redlining the whole race. Learning
I
still.
mean, you're getting there, dude. You get there. I mean, hey, you won the whole thing this
Getting
year,
there.
so
And so like getting to talk to Dan about that and him telling me it was like, okay, second race, we show up at Killington and totally different outcome. He was like, I took off and it was kind of funny because we all started running and talking to some of the people that were like, Dan said if you were going to take off, he was going to absolutely just kill you going up the hill. Just like throw down like a pace that you couldn't even keep up with and you just fall off. And so I was like, you know what? I'm going to just watch this from behind, play smart, and kind of just see how everything goes. So I got to kind of sit behind the top guys and see how they were doing and got to, really get to see what this racing style should be done like because it's not just the uphill. You got to have enough in the legs for the downhill to actually race it. Not just letting the legs free fall. It is a full on you're turning the leg speed over on the down. So getting up to the top, it was just brutal of a climb. Ridiculous. It rained and it was just nasty out. But also gave myself the leg speed to have for the second half. Funny thing is that coming through down at the very end of the course, there's a shoot off that goes back up the ski slope. And like four people missed it in front of me.
oh really?
which I was like, it was one of those things I kept on seeing, like, because there was a
It's
truck
a
or
straight up
a
left-hand turn. Yeah.
yeah, there's like ATV crew or whatever in front of me, and they were driving, and there was a couple of people that followed that, and I'm like, why are y'all following that? Like the course, but I'm like, going, I can't yell. I'm not gonna yell at them or anything, but they're like long gone, and I just saw them disappear in the forest, and I was like, okay, we're gonna go straight up, but I still had no idea like who was all in front of me and where everybody else was at, and so I took off going up, and there was like one guy at the very top just before he turned back onto the road, and I was like, okay, let's go and try to catch that guy. Got up to him, and we started racing each other coming down the ski slope. Lo and behold, I came in, and everybody was like, you just took fourth place. And I'm like, what? No, I was like going, in my head, I was like thinking I'm in seventh or eighth place. And they're like, no. Steven was racing, and it was kind of crazy because he passed me on the climb, but on the downhill, never saw him at the finish line or anything. And like we're sitting there for like 5 minutes at
Oh,
the finish,
Steve made a wrong.
and
I
he,
forgot. Steve, I was with him the day before when we marked.
yeah,
When he
and
marked the
he
course, do the course preview. Okay, so that's what he was
exactly
talking.
the
That's
guy
what
who knows.
okay, that's what he was talking about when he said he missed a turn. I thought it was an early turn he missed. I didn't know it was that late in the race. Holy shit!
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
Steve is
so,
probably going to be listening to this, so he's going to be very embarrassed.
yeah, so he missed that turn, and I was just like, we got down to the end. And I'm like, how did I beat you? First of all, and I'm like, because I know I never caught you. And he's like, oh, dude, we missed a turn. I'm like, you marked it. I was like, dude, come on. But it was just like, it was kind of funny, but it was also one of those things going, whoa, we got some good points.
Yeah.
Like, this is some, like, because I mean, even though, yes, they took the wrong turn, but that's racing. That's a part of the
It
game.
happens, dude. That's the game.
It happens.
Let me ask you this: what was just for the sake of time, like what was
Yeah.
your favorite course? Like, what was your favorite one out of the entire race? Oh, you're
This guy.
Targi. Me too.
Sorry,
That was my
dude.
favorite.
It was one of those things where the I got to get out there about a week before.
Yeah. In the rain the whole time.
Yeah, get to see the course. Got to see it actually. I guess no, it wasn't during the rain. Yeah, and got to play out in the mud of it, and it was slick and nasty. But like, it's such a cool area. Like, I'm surprised there's not more races right there, or in that little area, that little pocket, at least that I know of or anything. Because I'm like, that's some serious trails. Because I even after the race ran around and got to go check out some of the trails a couple days later.
It's one of the most beautiful places on earth. I shouldn't talk about it on the podcast because I don't want people going there. I'm saying
No,
but I mean, dude, it's amazing.
It's so crazy that I had like one of the lowest numbers of people who come out to it.
But like one of the highest numbers of pros race that race, which is kind of fun.
Yeah,
because it's by far the best. Yeah.
And I got up to the top, and it was funny because we get up to the top, and I didn't even look over to the Tetons, and it was like absolutely like this. Everything was beautiful out. It was such a nice sunny day, but I never even looked over to the Tetons until I saw the pictures afterwards. I'm like, oh, dude, that was incredible. Like, why did I not look over? Like, but I was so like honed into racing because your buddy at La Sportiva, my mind just went. Yeah, he. So several different races he kept on beating me at, and I'm like,
Davide's good, man. He's fast as shit.
Freaking awesome! Like, he's so good, and like really, like, it's one of those things. Like, he comes from like the skiing side and stuff, but he's freaking good at trail. And I'm like,
he's a former professional. I think he was a pro triathlete, something like that, back in the day.
Oh,
yeah, he's not that old. He's only just. I think he would appreciate me saying this. He's like mid 30s, somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like just solid, but it was one of those things like going, oh, you're just here like working for La Sportiva and stuff, like kind of like you're tagging in a way, like I thought in my head, like, oh, just tagging on to the race type of thing. It's like you're working the event, but also doing this. And every race, he was actually doing really well, and I'm like, I gotta freaking beat this guy. Like, I know I can. I just have to actually do it. So we get up to the top of the climb, and he comes up to me. And I just look at Davi and I'm just like, it's not your day. Like, in my head, I just look over, and he starts like trying to pass me on the first descent.
Okay, so coming
And
off of Mary's nipple before
yes,
you get to
coming off
before you get to square top. Okay, all right.
before we get to the
That's
top.
where the move is made in the race.
And so he starts coming past me, and we just both do like a V line straight down the mountain. Like we're just like, you know what? Whatever this is gonna do, this is gonna do. Like we're
Someone's
just
gonna
like
die. Someone's
we're
gonna die.
just for the biscuit right here. Then we go up the square top. We're both neck and neck, and we get up that like right when you crest over. It's a really good, actually, like long descent.
Yeah, but it's off trail.
But it's off trail.
Yeah.
But it's also super soft, but like crazy rocky, but soft too. Like there's some good grass up there, and I was just like, this is the time to make the move. Before you get back to the single track, before you get to the road, everything, take it here. I'm pretty sure I dropped like it was like somewhere in the fours in that section.
Dude, and that section is nasty. That's hard. I mean, like I
Yeah.
did it on the road. The road is easy to do that, but like that section, it's just ankle biters the whole way, like until you hit the road. Good on you. That's a great place to make a
Like
move.
I am gonna take him here, and got onto the single track or got onto the road, and then we dumped onto the single track, and I just kept them bring up the pace. Got to see where a couple of the other guys were in front of me on the single track, and I was like, okay, start picking, which was probably my best race too, because I actually played really smart at the beginning, holding back, kind of just had a good grind to the top.
That road, yeah.
And probably still wasn't my best like climbing capabilities, but still had a good pace, set a good time, wasn't gonna burn myself out. Because like literally you start at from the bottom of the mountain, you go straight up. There is no section
road,
where you
dude. I mean, that road is. You're climbing. I think it's like 800 feet a mile. So that the math on that's like 16% that road, something like that, till you hit the top, like till you go off trail. Yeah, dude. I have long thought about this because I really struggled on that road ascent. I like completely blew up in the first like 2 miles. We went out way too fucking hard with you people.
And yeah, going up there and like having some targets on that where I was like, okay, there are two little flat plateaus on this course on the road where you can get leg speed back up and then try to push a little more. But when we started coming down, got to the single track, I started chasing down the other guys. And in my head, it was like, we're actually racing. This is the first time on this whole series that I actually felt like racing, which is crazy because that was the third to last race of the season. And what I felt like was my best performance. Catching people, putting good times down, got to the end, and I put over 2.5 minutes, I believe, on Davi to the end. So like getting to the top in like every other race, I never felt comfortable on the downhills. And that one with the switchbacks and how good the trail is, I was just like, this is game on.
See, I would have much preferred, like, I like the road sections, man, going down. I did not like the single track
because the
single track is just not that. I mean, at least to me, it wasn't that straightforward. Like, I felt like it didn't feel like I was losing 300 to 500 feet a mile on that. Like, some of it, maybe I was just fatigued, but I don't know, dude. I
felt like I was
yet to have snapped like a really solid like, and it's funny because a lot of my friends like have gotten their like 5K PRs on that descent, and I have not. Like I've really like not liked it. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me being a weak ass bitch, but it's also possible that I don't know. So
yeah, but I honestly like I felt once we got onto that and just from the start of Mary Nipple down in my head there was a switch that like instantly changed. It was just like race. Like don't think of anything else. Race. This is where we have to race. Like my point standing, I was in the lead already at this time of the season, which was a crazy thing, but it was still like, okay, we're in the lead. We have points. We got to capitalize on this one because Mason's right behind me, and I can't let Mason catch me.
You realize like Mason's like one of the best in the world too. Like
I know,
like,
but he's only doing 4 of the 8. I'm like, I can't let him beat me on this like thing of doing 4 and that's one of those things. But it's also like I also want Cirque Series to be one of those things. You can't just show up to only a few. Like I I was talking to Julian a little bit about this, where it's like this should be a development racing series. Like I don't know why either Trail Team or any other like build up teams aren't putting all of their like a couple of racers on the whole season and take like going after it. One, to get the spotlight. Two, to actually race week in, week out at that top level and be in an actual series where it's like at the end, it's more than just saying, oh, I did really well at this race and this race and this race all on their own.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I got to walk away with a belt buckle and get to say, hey, I'm top of the top,
Yeah.
the whole series. So it's kind of one of those things I'm like, I kind of want to push that. Like,
Yeah.
I want to make it where you can't just do that. And you get to actually experience the whole thing. And all these races and courses and stuff are incredible. And the communities that they're in are pretty freaking sweet. Getting involved up in New Hampshire and stuff with like the 603 crew.
Yeah.
So Tom Hooper's group, incredible group of people,
What a guy.
awesome, amazing, yeah. And dude, shout out to Tom, dude, just freaking crushing it on the race directing out there,
Yeah,
like
Tom's a man, dude.
really
Tom's
cool.
a rare human. He's another
Mm-hmm.
one. That's just a real one.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. And so I mean, like getting to see like all these different pros racing on the whole series. But it's like, man, this is the perfect spot to develop as an athlete. Like, if you want to become up and coming and young and then become relevant in the sport at a unique spot and have that leg speed and learn a lot in a very short amount of time, I think this series is hands down the greatest thing for that.
Oh, for sure. All right. So what's next for you then? Are you going back next year?
So, oh gosh, so I got a actual opportunity to work with CETAs,
Okay.
and
Congratulations.
so I'm kind of like stoked about that. Actually, have a cool friggin' billboard deal.
Let's go. Shout out, not an official sponsor of the podcast yet, but I mean, I don't think Aiden would be too upset in me saying this.
Hey, knock on wood, man.
Soon to be official sponsor of the podcast.
Soon.
Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
I love
and
yeah.
so like, so right now we're trying to figure that out because next year it's gonna be a really cool year. They're sponsoring UTMB, Western States, Broken Arrow, and they'll be back at Mammoth. And there's a handful of other races that they're going to be a part of.
So you'll be all over that.
So like, to me, it's like, okay, I got to do Cirque Series, and that was incredible. I have thought about, has there been a back-to-back champion? No, there hasn't.
Been one. I mean,
I'm
you
like,
could run it back, but you could also, dude, there, I think I see it 50-50. You could run it back and probably do the same thing again, or you could leave it open for someone else to do it. I mean, it's
exactly,
or come back in another year.
And that's my thing is like, I feel like that's a great building block for a young athlete to come up in and to learn and to see. So like, I'm actually going to be with the CETA's opportunity, going to go to Broken Arrow, going to go out to do all the UTMB events. So race on the short distance, so sub ultra, so like the 21K up to like the 30K or so, and race at that distance on the UTMB series.
Yep.
And getting experience that, but also be able to actually put a foot out there for CETA's on the sub ultra. So it's kind of one of those things that's like trying to actually build a athlete spotlight on the sub ultra side for them. And then also we'll be sponsored still with Nature Sunshine and getting them some other outlets because they're going to still be sponsoring Cirque Series as a title sponsor with La Sportiva. But I think there's, it'd be cool to also show them off in other areas and be able to get involved in different things. And I got to talk with a couple of different other really cool, awesome guys this past week at TRE, and they were just like, go and take another approach. Go take a step into something else. You got to experience something very unique. Why go and do that again?
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, which was really cool because like Zach Zach with that Mountain Outpost, Zach Marin, he showed me that. He was like, dude, go like from experience of having gone and done like races repeated, year after year, go and take uniqueness. Like go get the opportunity of experience of different areas, different races, different things. So I'm like, let's do that and kind of get to see what that next level of racing will be like, especially having some lake speed. I'm also trying to plan right now a marathon for the spring.
Nice.
And so build up for that. Try to actually go and do an actual like race time that I feel like is competitive, or at least start building up for it. Because like my ultimate goal is 2028 Olympic trials. At least get to the trials.
All right. All right.
So I have a a push to try to go for sub 230 on this side for right now, just to get that leg speed, kind of dabble more into the marathon realm. I've been on target at Big Sur before at a two. I finished off with a 255, but that doesn't tell the story. 2 years
You're
ago
definitely
at
faster than that,
253,
dude.
it was 30 miles an hour headwind the whole race. I took off. Nobody knew who I was, type of thing. At the halfway point, I was leading through the half with an hour. I was hour 17 on that course, which is a crazy course and crazy conditions. I had no idea about nutrition and stuff, and that's where everything failed after mile 21, and then everything went downhill. So, like in my head, I'm going. I never got to get on a flat marathon course. We were on target and on pace at a 234 pace on a really hard day, and I gained over 21 minutes in the last 4 or 5 miles. So it was like, let's go fix this.
Yeah, you're definitely faster
Let's
than
go
me
fix
at
the marathon,
235. Holy shit.
and let's go try that.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm going to be headed towards the spring, and then got some other cool opportunities. I get to go pace a really good friend of mine at Cocodona this year, so that will be really cool and get to be on the team. So I'm really stoked for that, and then get ready for the summer.
All right. Dude, I
Yeah,
love it. I love it. And you know what, dude? Cirque Series will always be there. Hopefully,
yeah.
I would imagine it would be. But
No, it's one of those things. Like if there's a race, like if there's a Cirque Series race, like that where if I'm close to it in vicinity with doing the UTMB stuff, then that's what I'll go hop over there, whether I run or I can get a spot, run in it,
yeah,
or just go and dude freaking pull off the jean setup that I had this year, cowboy hat and everything, and just get rally up on the trails
you
and
you are the king of
just.
Stoke, man. We love seeing you out there, being the Stoke guy, getting
That's
getting all
another thing.
crazy.
Like we need more people, like more running communities and like trail running communities to go out to these races and like actually having like fan zones and like
Yes.
areas you're hyping up. Like it's so funny. Like so many people are like, well, I just want to go race over in Europe or I want to go and experience these things. We can do that here. We can set up these races to where you have that same fan of the sport or fandom of the sport where people can line up on the course, cheer, party out there, like just bring in that hype and that stoke that's real. Because I mean, it shows up to certain races, and I would say like Western States is one of those where you could see it this year, where like 300, 400 people were up on the mountain cheering.
Yeah.
Let's do that at like Cirque Series and stuff. Like, let's get the hype out there. Like, if you're not racing, guess what? Go up on the mountain instead of down at the finish line cheering. Go up to the mountain, and that will make it like last way more of an impact for every individual runner.
Dude, you're preaching to the choir, man. I am like such a nutcase about this. So I'm on the board of Pikes, and like one of the things that drives me the most crazy is like we just don't do enough to get like the the Colorado Springs community out there. And like out there, when I say out there, I want like people, dude, I don't care if we have to rent out the goddamn train. I want people at Bar Trail going nuts. I want like a whole, like, like when you see Zagama and people are like going up that mountain, the side of the mountain, I forget the name of the peak particularly, and people are saying, oh, I'm going deaf. My ears are ringing because so many people are out there cheering. That's what I want at Bar Trail at like Pikes
Heck
Peak.
yeah.
And like in a lot of these races, like, dude, and Cirque Series is such a perfect opportunity too, because like most of these things, like most of these races, you could just take the lift up if you don't want to hike or run. Like you could just
And
take
it's not that
the
much of a
chair.
hike if you wanted to hike, but yeah.
Yeah. So no, there's it's primo opportunity, and I just think this is where I challenge myself, and I think as a not just as an athlete, but like as a media member, like I think I love to see more of a fan base. I want to just build the fan base so more people get excited about the sport. And mountain running is an interesting thing, and I think that it's going to continue to grow. I think it starts with people like yourself being out there, being very outspoken, being like, I don't know, one of the things I really admire about you is like you are just like you're the king. Like I just wanted to call you the king of Stoke because you're always stoked, you're always excited, and yeah, so it's definitely yeah, I don't know where I'm going with this, but it's very cool.
Yeah.
So
No, it was one of those things where I realized really quickly, it was like, if you don't do it, nobody will.
yeah,
So that was my whole thing, where it was like, after the race, after I get done racing at a competitive level, like, because it's one of those things. It's like it's just show people like you can compete at a high level and still have at least a decent amount of energy to get back up there somewhere and cheer. And so that's what my whole thing was like. Go grab my nutrition that I need back in the van, put on some other crazy outfit, run back up mountain, whether it's like a half a mile or a mile up, and start cheering.
it's the best cool
And
down ever.
yeah, and then when people are out there, like they see it and they're just like, heck yeah, like this is way cool and just unique and different. And I feel like that too, where you're getting a lot of people at Cirque Series who are new to the sport,
Yeah,
new to trail running, new to the whole thing. If they can see that, like that makes them a bigger fan of the actual sport, and that would probably even push them to go, hey, I want to go and do that. I want to go out there and cheer. I want to be more of a fan of it. Now that I've gotten this experience at one time, now I want to be also on the other side too, where I can go and cheer and go support it. And
it just creates more fans.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, McKennan, I think it's a good time to put a bow on it, dude. I think this is a good first chapter. I can't wait for the next one.
Dude, bring it.
I appreciate you, dude. Thanks for coming on. This is a great chat. Anytime you want to come back on, we could talk Stoke. I'll be seeing you probably a bunch this summer. I'll definitely see you at Broken Arrow. And yeah, man, I appreciate you. And thanks a lot for coming on.
Okay, let's do something at TrailCon. Let's get like
Yeah, dude.
some Stoke Hive like group run or thing. I don't know.
Yeah. Oh, dude,
Something
totally
crazy.
down. We'll put it
Like a
together.
VK.
I'll be in touch. And congratulations on the new role with Cetus, dude. I love that company. Amazing people.
I am so I'm excited to see where this is gonna go, the potential that it has. I'm gonna be working on like community building, connecting with communities and stuff before events, and so like if we show up to your area, like come on out, let me get involved. Like even if you have like certain running stores or running communities that get involved with locally, let me know, and yeah, so we can do a lot of cool different stuff.
Oh, absolutely. Sweet, dude. Appreciate it.
Got to spread the gospel of Cetus.
That's right. That's right.
Yes, sir.
Awesome.